And we are live! Hello, everyone. Welcome for another episode of the Puppet Podcast. Yeah, another day, another interview, another time zone. So cool. I'm so excited about this. So, yeah, I just want before we go into the interview, I want to drop some stuff. You know, we are in a funny time right now, but I'm really part of the positive people and the people who want maybe to find in this moment a way to take advantage and get opportunities. So that's why we create this Patreon page. This Patreon is about workshop and it's online stuff about promoting your job, promoting puppet art. So we have this wonderful workshop who's coming. This is our Patreon. We have done some explanation over there about why we're doing this. So the workshop happening this weekend will be about Mr. Leo. Mr. Leo, it's loading right now, but it's here. Mr. Leo, I've done some outdoor puppet show during this time, and we want to know how it was, and we want to know also how he promote online. He's really active, and he put his stuff online out there, and we find in love with this guy and how he do it. So we want everyone to like have his experience and share it. So yeah, have a look just below. We have this link about Patreon, and I want everyone to get the chance to look at this and yeah, be part of our Patreon community and join us during this weekend on this workshop. So this is the publicity. So now we will go into the wonderful interview, and I get the chance to connect with a lot of people from the LA community. And I'm really impressed because they have so much stuff going on over there, like the movie, the Disney, and I have Aran de la Peña, who is right there, and he will talk to you. His workshop is in his workshop. So please welcome into the screen, Mr. Aran de la Peña.
Hi everybody. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
I'm so happy you accept, and yeah, I want to know. I don't want to say everything. So could you maybe present yourself to the people, and people could ask also questions during the interview and write down where they are. So could you introduce your company to us?
Yeah, my name is Aran de la Peña. I'm from Pro Puppet Makers. Pro Puppet Makers is primarily a hand and rod puppet company based in Southern California. And most of our projects are shoot in LA and Hollywood and that sort of general vicinity. We build puppets for television, theater, streaming media, live shows, theme parks, you name it. We've pretty much done it. Large puppets that were 30 feet long that we just did recently for the Hollywood Bowl, and to little small puppets that are 3 inches long. So
yeah, that's so cool. So diversified. You do a lot of different kind of puppetry.
Yeah, it's been a passion, and I started when I was around 8 years old. I'm now 37 years old. So every year it just keeps on escalating into, I turn around, there's actual career behind me of doing this for a living, which I'm very grateful for. So
yeah, so cool, so inspiring.
Thank you.
Yeah, Aran, are you ready for the deep question of the Puppet Podcast?
The serious questions? Yeah, let's get down to it.
Yeah, I want to know why. It's always so interesting to know how everyone explains why they cherish the art of puppetry. So for you, why?
I think it's different to everyone, and over the years I've met different people who utilize puppetry and also appreciate it, and they get into it for all different reasons in different fields. to me, I think I cherish it personally because it may sound really stupid, but when I was a kid, kids play with dolls and action figures and all sorts of little toys, and they make their own world and express themselves through that world.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, that was me with toys and action figures. And just growing older, getting into like the Muppets and seeing that kind of art form, it was one of the only tools I could find to keep that imaginary world going, where you could give life to an object and express your feelings through something to an audience, and have that audience watch your story. So I think to me, this is the only art form you can still do that in real time. So I think that would probably be my answer.
Yeah, that's good, and that's true. It makes us connect with this childhood feeling, also like childish.
Yeah. And there's like as your child, you feel looking back on I was playing, it was an immature thing, but as an adult, seeing people appreciate it and seeing how many people you can reach through the art of puppetry, you really do look back on everything and do cherish it for that reason.
Yes. So cool. So I want to have an anecdote now about your crush. Everyone maybe have a moment where you get a spark towards a puppet or a show that you saw. Do you have an anecdote about when your crush happened?
My puppet crush.
Yeah.
Yes. It's two parts. Like any kid I saw, I think, or anyone who gets into like hand and rod puppetry, especially like these kind of guys, like the studios, like Muppet style puppets. I saw the Muppets, and I'm sure that's everybody's answer. Like I saw the Muppets, but I saw the Muppets, and I used to watch Sesame Street, and Sesame Street was great, and I got a lot from it. But I also would, watch Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood and other shows that were like on Disney Channel at the time. Disney Channel was just starting to get developed. So I knew what puppets were. I had some puppets, but they were like really like small little glove puppets that my mom and dad found for me. I really didn't play with them that often. But then the show came out called Fraggle Rock on HBO when I was a kid. And it was a Jim Henson show with these little small hand puppets, and I knew they're hand puppets. But they were in all these cool settings, like caves, and there were little creatures called doozers that I just thought that had construction hats on and were making things, in this world. And you could, watch it every week as a kid, and every episode was different, and you could see them make things in these caves and sing songs, and it was unlike anything I've ever seen before.
Yeah.
So at that moment, I knew that they were puppets, but I knew because they were puppets, this was a world and possibly a career that I wanted to pursue and get involved in. So I've been locked ever since. So.
Yeah, and I have to admit, I get like when I saw the picture that we put on the podcast announcement. This picture, you have worked on Coco, and you have built those puppets from the movie.
Right.
This is an amazing experience.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'm very proud of it. It's one of my biggest projects, and it was still recently. It was about a year ago. So. And it just a couple months ago came out on Disney Plus. So if you have Disney Plus, the show that was done down here at the Hollywood Bowl in LA is now it was filmed and now is on Disney Plus as the celebration of the music from Coco. And so in the first 5 minutes, you can see the puppets, and I'm actually puppeteering one of the puppets along with all the dancers and performers. And these puppets we made 3 of them. Pepita was the largest. She was about 35 feet long. So it was an undertaking, and we did it very quickly. And I took the job knowing what it was, and we worked really hard to deliver those puppets on time and to make them look as close to the characters as possible for Disney and Pixar. And when I took the job, I didn't know that Pixar was going to be as involved, but they ended up being very hands-on and very supportive of everybody in the show, including the puppet builders. So the director of Coco was very, very nice to me, and very complimentary about how the puppets came out. So yeah, it's still one of my proudest moments. But getting into puppetry, you never think you're gonna, you're gonna start something that's eventually gonna be hired by Disney and Pixar, and be working with Pixar, who's one of my favorite animation companies of all time.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. Like, if there's any advice I can give to people on that end, it's keep doing what you're doing, because you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. You may be hard on yourself, or think like, this is the day I quit, or I'm gonna go into do something else. Go do something else. But if it's something in the arts that keeps on calling you back, don't quiet or silence that voice. Go back to it, because you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. You could be eating noodles one day and then be working for Pixar after that. So.
So cool. I agree so much. You have to keep doing and persist, and you get wonderful experience like this. And
definitely,
yes, it's so incredible. And to create a puppet from a 3D animation, it's also a challenge to put this 3D stuff in real 3D.
Right. And actually, I'll show you later. But actually, behind me we have I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, I can do this kind of. Yeah.
It's a little model of Dante, the dog from Coco. So that's actually a 3D file we got from Pixar. And then I have a head that we made to pattern Dante. So I'll show you a little bit about that, how we turn a 3D model or a 3D animated character into a flat pattern.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it takes years to sort of master, but
yeah. But congratulations! Like it's really cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was amazing. I still can't believe it happened. So.
I want to know, in your opinion, the field of study. It's always a tricky question because everyone come into puppetry from different paths. But in your opinion, what would be the best field of study to become a puppeteer?
A puppeteer.
Or a builder. It could be a builder too.
Yeah. I started off as a builder, and then I went into puppeteering, and I still do puppeteering on a regular basis, especially in LA. Like I think you need to do both. And some people prefer not to build, or some people prefer to build and not puppeteer. I still do both because I still enjoy both, but building's my primary focus, and it's something I try to improve upon every day I get up out of bed. And I don't want any project to be the same project. I want to, every project I want to try to better myself and to top the last project we've done. Puppeteering, when I made my own puppets and I started off as a teenager, I just thought that, doing local shows for my friends and stuff, that, I was already like on my way to becoming a good puppeteer, and, tomorrow I can go do Sesame Street, but as you become like 18 or get into your early 20s, you realize when you're in that situation, especially for like Muppet style puppets, where you're using a monitor and the monitor's in reverse, and you're seeing everything that the camera sees on this monitor in reverse, that you really need to master that skill set in order to deliver everything that you possibly can to the character that's on your hand. So through that, I also, in my early 20s, I worked for Disney Parks. I was a puppeteer. I had the opportunity of doing live shows. We did 6 shows a day, every day of the week, and I was at Disney Parks on and off for about 9 years or so as a puppeteer for them, doing their shows.
Wow.
Yeah. So through that, obviously just the muscle memory of keeping a puppet up for 30 minutes 6 times a day. Your body, it's not easy, and your body, even if it's a light puppet, your body adapts to it, and you start getting better, and pretty soon it's just muscle memory. You're not even feeling the weight of the puppet.
Yeah.
But I learned when I first came to Disney, through early puppet workshops and working with show directors and choreographers and other puppeteers, that I still think that if you want to get into puppeteering, I highly recommend, I would say, acting is essential. Knowing how to follow the scripts, knowing how to read the other performers, and knowing where to be. Second, if you can, maybe improv comedy or mime. Mime is, is crucial because essentially that's what you're doing. When the puppet, most of the time when a puppet's alive on your hand, it's not really about, to me, the lip sync. It's about, it's about less is more. So if the puppet is there, if the puppet just has its mouth open like that, it looks like it's mine. It looks like it's still alive. And mime, I think, is a big part of that. So if you're practicing mime and where you don't have to talk and expressing yourself through, your body and expression, it transfers easily to a puppet. And if you can master all that and put it all together, that's great. But some people never do. I've known puppet performers who really love it and practice every day, and just they sometimes they don't master it, and that's okay, because as long as you love it and it's still what you want to do and you keep on, you don't give it up, that's great. So it takes time to master. Don't expect to get it overnight. Everyone learns differently and learns at a different speed. So, but yeah, those things are crucial, I think, to performing television puppetry well, if you want to pursue it.
Yes, that's such a complete answer, and it's true. Mime, I think you're the first who bring this to the podcast, but I really think it's really key also.
Right.
A fan, a real fan, someone, it's Matt Worley, maybe you see it in your side. He said, Aran is a fantastic puppet builder. I've known him for many years, super talented.
Wow, thanks. Hi, Matt. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, I used to work with Matt at Disney. He was one of the head video guys. He used to cut and edit videos for Disney parks. And another person who, took the passion of what he wanted to do. He wanted to edit and create his own videos and do it as a company, and left Disney to do that. He started his own business and is, one of the best video editors I've ever seen. So.
Wow. That's so cool, and that's true. And I think Los Angeles also have a lot of opportunity, but you need to be really strong and persistent, because you have a lot of people who want the job. And
right. That's one thing about I've lived in Southern California and Northern California. I've been up and down California my whole life in the Bay Area, but New York and LA, I think the good and bad things about those cities is that if you want to do this for a living, it is so competitive that if you're forced to better yourself, and if you're not trying to better yourself, and you're not, if you're easily defeated, you're not going to succeed. And honestly, if you don't want to do that, then it's really, maybe it's something you shouldn't be doing, because you should be passionate about it, even if you experience hurdles along the way, and maybe you're defeated at some point. If you have the drive and the love for an art form, that should keep you going up. And if you can't do that especially New York, it's tough. Same thing for theater performers or television performers, mime performers, acrobats. If you're in a competitive field, you force yourself to get better. So I appreciate that. But it also is hard.
Yes. And if people are watching, I would just take the moment to say, write down some question or where you are right now. We always appreciate to see where are our people watching. I want to go to the next question about your definition. I always find interesting to know how you name the job, but how you name a puppet, like the material, how you explain it. So what is your own definition of a puppet?
I think I don't know who told it to me. I think I heard it at some point when I was right between when I started working for Disney and when I was reaching out to other puppeteers when I wanted to work for the Muppets at the time. I think to me it's still simple. It's not that complicated. I think a puppet's any inanimate object you can give life to or expression through. So anything can be a puppet. It can be like a sock It can be an action figure. It can be like a television puppet. It can be drawing on your hand. Anything that you can give life to for an audience, or it doesn't even have to be for an audience. It can be for yourself. I think classifies as a puppet.
Mm-hmm. So cool. It's so important to name the craft, but it's funny to have like we could do a dictionary at the end of the podcast about the definition of everyone.
Right. Yeah. And it is like working with other puppeteers. It is interesting to hear different people's definition, because ultimately it means the same thing, but it's the way that you explain it to, and hold and figure it out, like the way you process it as an individual person is always cool to hear from other puppeteers.
Yes.
So.
And I want to know your vision. I know you are in LA. Maybe you see more instead of me in East Canada. The ascension of puppetry. How is it maybe on your area? Do you feel we are in an ascension? Is getting more popular or not?
I think, because I grew up, the shows I watched were late 80s, early 90s as a child.
Yeah.
And so I've seen, I grew up loving Star Wars and a lot of movie stuff that was based on models and puppets. So I think it seems like puppets are always coming back. I hope they don't go away. But right now, before the pandemic hit, we were seeing with the rise of streaming platforms, movies, it seems to me like movies and work that I've done, that movies and television were gearing away from puppets and going back to CGI. And I know that was a fear when CGI came around, like Jurassic Park, that everyone would be out of work. And we did see a loss on that end. But to me, it feels like the rise of the streaming platforms opened the window back to practical effects, whether it be puppetry or, special effects, makeup, model miniatures. And so right now that's still like the trendy thing. And I don't know if it's for nostalgic purposes that's what people that are older now remember as a kid and want to show their kids. But I don't care. I know that it's people are liking it, and people, I think their eyes are tired of watching CGI right now. But especially during the pandemic, a lot of people are doing stuff at home with puppets and want to see other people do things with puppets. So Netflix has a lot of content that's practical. Like Dark Crystal had just premiered before the pandemic hit, and it was phenomenal. And I think a lot of bigger companies are looking at stuff like that and saying, well, why didn't we do that? And how can we do it now? And that's always a good thing. Whether like, I don't know if it's like the peak of puppetry or if we're redoing, like nostalgic things, but it's keeping people working and it's making people happy.
Yeah, that's funny you named that, the nostalgic feeling, because we really get some like a old show in my area who come back and on this principle. So it's really interesting you name it, because I think it's really true.
Right. Yeah. And just seeing like on stream platforms that they're bringing back even old TV shows that people remember as a kid that are doing great. Like we have the Karate Kid show on Netflix that is the #1 show on Netflix right now. I watched that as a kid. So hopefully that will be a trend that continues, and we'll still have the combination of CGI and practical effects like we still have now. But we won't lose puppetry.
Yeah. Yes, so true. And I just want Aran to let you know that we have people watching from New Zealand.
Oh wow.
So that's kind of
wow. That's one of the places I always wanted to go to. So one day.
yeah. One day we will travel more.
I know. That's amazing.
Yes. And I want to know, as we talk about traveling and purposes and goals, what is your, like, for your company and your career, your big purpose you see for the future?
I think for me as an individual, I just want to, I've been, I've worked hard, nothing to have the experiences I think that I've had. And I also used to be hard on myself and think that, I don't deserve this. But when you have that mindset, sort of sabotage yourself.
Uh-huh.
So I think in general, you should always keep the mindset of being appreciative and feeling like it's deserving to you, or you're going to fail as an artist. But the purpose of my personal puppetry is just to keep working. And because puppetry was so personal to me when I was a child, with Fraggle Rock and seeing, you know, puppets when I was a little kid, you know, Gremlins and all sorts of special effects puppets too, that if as I'm now 37, if I can still give that to the next generation, if they can see a puppet and saw what I appreciated and have the love for that and want to continue that, or, you know, seeing a puppet on, you know, a computer screen or a live show makes any child or adult that's having a hard day get through that day and smile and, you know, move on to something, another positive experience. That's great. And because I fell in love with puppetry that way, that's still kind of why I do it. And to me, building puppets was that little niche. And if I build a puppet and I can hand it on to another puppeteer, perform it myself, and as long as it's seen by the public or an audience, that makes inspires the next generation. That's I think that's my purpose with puppetry and why I keep on doing it.
Yes.
Because there are a lot of days where you want to give up and or think like, oh, I've done this before. I'm never going to do something new. It's just always the same repetitive stuff. So if you keep on thinking like that, I think you can be successful.
Yeah, to have the gratitude and also to do it for the next generation. That's so key.
Yeah, and you know, especially in LA, there's a lot of companies and builders that you know, are very about self promotion and trying to step on the little guys that are trying to be inspired. And you know, these are the people that are going to replace us. So I see that all the time, and I really don't like that. And it's always, you know, it's sort of like a passive aggressive thing, but I see that in LA all the time because this is where I work. But I'm sure it happens everywhere. But I'm not a fan of that. I think as long as you should always be positive and trying to be inspiring people who want to learn and not try to suppress that.
Yeah.
Especially right now in the time we're in, I think encouraging people to not just art and anything they want to do is a great thing to do. Yeah,
I think it's part of the good manners in this moment. We need to support each other and just be grateful as for stuff, and that we are able to keep working and that we have this passion, so we have to share it because people need some passionate speech or to get
right too. And on that note, to follow up with you, you know, I was when I was tiny, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I'm one of 6 kids. And then when I was 8, I found Fraggle Rock, and all of a sudden I still was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. But at the same time, building puppets, I didn't realize that this was what I was doing, and I kept on coming back to it. I put it away for a little bit, and then come back to building puppets because I was passionate about it. So I'm fortunate enough to have found that when I was a child. And can still do it as an adult. But there are a lot of people that don't have that passion, and you know, it's very easy, especially during the time we're in, to be stuck in a negative space. And I encourage everyone to find something that keeps you busy, and maybe that will turn to a passion, because that for a mental mindset, especially right now, I think that's a great thing to have.
Yeah, and we have Mary Beth, who also agree on the mindset. She said mindset is fundamental.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Bring that. So this is terrific statement you just bring.
Yeah, it's a great statement. I totally agree.
Yes. Oh, here, Michelle, have a question. So let's take a question from the audience right there. You mentioned repetition with bills. What kind of bills do you get the most requests for?
In LA, most of the builds I was doing were like that little guy, like Muppet style hand puppets with like hand and rods. And that was primarily the puppets I puppeteered with as a teenager when I wanted to work in television puppetry and what I did at Disney. But most of the time, it is that sort of puppet. But we have done everything. Like we've done cable puppets, rod puppets, giant puppets, small puppets. But it's usually hand and rod. But it seems like right now, right before the pandemic started, a lot of the stuff has been. It used to be for TV, and now a lot of the stuff is for streaming companies like Netflix and YouTube series that are trying to launch and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it usually stays. Most of the stuff they usually want that, and I'm glad I can deliver that.
Yeah.
But that's usually the number one requested puppet.
Yes, so cool. And yeah, we are almost at the end, but I want to know if like how you feel about improving our field. Do you feel we achieved the full potential, or you have like something coming next into like even the building side, but also the puppeteering, or what's coming next?
It depends. I'm very hopeful for it. But I don't see puppetry going anywhere. I think just like any live theater, you know, discipline like acting or live performance, there'll always be a need for it. It's never gonna disappear. But I think puppetry always finds a way to reinvent itself.
Yeah.
And technology is always improving. People are, when technology improves, people have more tools and they have a bigger palette to create with. So just like with like Broadway shows, Broadway shows seemed like it was stuck in the same formula for a musical all the time, and we had seen the same thing. And then all of a sudden, Julie Taymor and Michael Curry got together and created The Lion King with puppetry, and it was something that nobody's ever seen before. So we never know where those people are. It could be you at home, and you've yet to realize that. It could be me. I don't know. But there's always a reinvention of any kind of art. It seems like, and then we saw it again, with Hamilton after Lion King. It's like nobody thought that could be done. In puppetry, we've seen that before too. Lion King was a huge step in live puppetry that's still being applied to, like Disney, for example. When that show came out, Disney started to revisit that kind of puppetry in their theme parks and touring shows. And then Cirque du Soleil, was a huge part of that too, incorporating bunraku and rod puppetry and large puppets that were controlled by multiple people.
Yeah.
So I think it's always evolving, and I hope it doesn't get too repetitive. I know sometimes it does, like with the Jim Henson style puppetry. But I think if you have a passion for it, hopefully it continues to evolve, and we have yet to see the next thing that's considered genius in puppetry. So.
Totally. Yeah. And yeah, I'm curious about what's coming next, and also to see like great creator or vision. And I think we got the time to step back a bit during this pandemic moment. We see our art form differently. So let's see what will happen.
Yeah. And like, I'm sure with everybody too, it's when the pandemic happened, we were forced to have time of quiet and to reflect on things, whether we liked it or not. But as an artist, that was it was what I needed, even though I didn't realize that I needed it, because I'm fortunate enough to be one of the busier builders in LA, and I'm very grateful for that. But when you're forced to stop and reflect on who you are as an artist and everything that's going on around you and in the art form, sometimes having that silence, the inner silence, just helps you evolve your art form and inspire other people, or help someone out that get into puppetry they never thought want to get into puppetry. When I was watching the podcast, that was one of the things I appreciated about it, is it was inspiring people to as a consistent source of information for puppetry, which is great, and that's why I loved it and contacted you. So.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
We do it as a duty in this time. I think we need to promote and just put hope over there. It's work.
Yeah, there's too many negative things going on right now. So we should support each other right now.
Yes, yes, totally. So to conclude, dear Aaron, I want to maybe bring a puppet. Do you have maybe a friend or maybe a building process you want to show us?
Yeah. So yeah, let me grab the Coco puppet so I sort of show you.
Yeah, I will do the full screen so we see more of. We have Jason who say, "Amen, amen." Yeah, so cool.
I support that.
Yes.
So yeah, so when we did the Coco the Hollywood Bowl, which is I encourage families to go watch it on Disney Plus right now. It's called the Celebration of the Music from Coco. It's an actual taping of the live show we did. So we received when Pixar got involved, we received models from them to make these puppets. So this is an actual 3D printing.
Wow. I
that
will
was,
maybe bigger. Let's see, like this.
yeah. So this is Dante. So it was 3D printed in a computer, and we did that. We have a really talented guy that works with us. He's a 3D modeler, and he does everything. He creates theatrical sets for companies and touring productions. His name is Brad Shelton. He's out in Utah right now, but we work with him all the time. And he printed these for us and shipped them to us in Southern California. So this is an actual 3D print of Pixar's model.
Yeah.
So this is Dante, and then this is an actual scale pattern of.
Okay, bigger, like this. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is Dante's head.
Oh my God.
So you see how big it is, and this is the opening right here is the mouth. The mouth moves like that, and then the cavity is where the nose would go. But if we crush it like that, you can see that's pretty much the way it was as a flat pattern on foam. So I know, I've through people that have been inspired to puppetry and approached me, I know they've told me they've taken clay models and pulled patterns off those clay models, and I think because I was such an old school puppet builder that I still do it. Like, I don't use those. I still figure out darts and patterns of a flat piece of paper and how that's going to be, the 3D shape. And if you look at, these two, like just the head, that's still pretty close.
Yeah.
So and the finished product, which you can watch on Disney Plus, is kids were mesmerized by seeing their friend Dante from Coco, in front of them, and it was 6 feet above their head. So that's still something I try to continue on, is that sort of patterning method, as long as it comes to foam puppets. And that's another thing why that I still want to do. So moving forward, I'm working on some video series that hopefully will come out in the next 2 weeks or so, about how I make puppets using that method, and how from concepts. We have a designer we work with who does animation, so we have a sketch from him. So we're gonna try to do a weekly thing where we take the animated character on a flat piece of paper and then walk you through the process without hiding anything from you of how we make this puppet. Because when I see other people coming to me like, oh, I sculpt this thing and it has all these a million pieces, and I'm like, I can't even figure that out. I don't know why, if you're trying to get into puppetry or puppet building, that's starting at the hardest part. Why would you? So I want to try to do that, because it is a dying, that in itself is a dying art form for builders. And that was the original Henson technique for the Fraggles and the Muppet Show puppets. So I still want to try to keep that going and try to stray people away from that, because I know if I'm looking at that, why would you do it that way? For someone who wants to get into it, that's kind of discouraging for them. And I don't want anybody, I want to inspire more people to build puppets and love puppetry. So I don't want to be them quitting, oh, this is ridiculous. So I'm like, well, that's a good idea. Then maybe I should try to do that. So during the pandemic, I have been busy doing streaming shows and other shows that are hopefully coming out soon on other platforms. But yeah, I wanted to not let this go and to get back to it. So
yes, and that's so cool. So just to make sure I'm tracking, you draw on the paper and you put it on the phone, and it's fitting like from just measure and wow.
It's a lot closer to like here's another one we did. This was, believe it or not, this is a penguin we did for DreamWorks theme parks. So this is it compressed. So that's how it'd be as a flat piece of foam. And all these little I don't know if you see that, but
yeah,
this is the prototype. This wasn't the finished penguin. We went through a couple of them, but all those little marks are darts. So imagine like a costume piece. If you're learning how to make costumes, you know, it's a flat piece of paper, and you cut darts in it to create the 3D shapes. And that one piece, you'll duplicate it and then make a 3D shape. So it's a lot simpler, and it's a lot of the old school, I think, Henson way. So I want to try to bring that back.
That's cool. So we have Brad who say Aran is the best, a true genius.
Oh yeah, that's Brad, who I was talking about out in Utah. He's always working. He's a scenic designer that works with Disney Theatrical all the time, actually. In Tuacahn, that's how I met him. Disney Theatrical works with Tuacahn Center for the Arts out in Utah, and I was lucky enough to get involved with Disney Theatrical, and they introduced me to Tuacahn and Brad. So
wow, so much like it's connection, eh? Our
job.
Yeah,
it's you know, appreciating what you do and always loving it, and people find you, and will always, if you meet the right people and treat them the way you want to be treated, they always come back to you. And that's been half of my recurring business.
That's so cool. It's so philosophical at the same time. Much like good quote. Maybe we were so take those one. It's so true.
Yeah. Like I said, especially right now. So.
Yes, thank you so much, Aran, for your time and your great work, and I wish you the best. I want to see everything. And
thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm glad like I said, I know we've both been busy, but I'm glad we finally got to connect with each other. And hopefully we can do it again, and I can keep you posted on projects I'm doing here in the workshop, because we're creating a studio makerspace that's almost done. So. Yeah,
so true. And if people are curious about your company, where they should look at?
Yeah, so my website is propuppetmakers.com. And also, you can find me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is propuppetmakers, and you can keep updated on what we're doing. I sort of don't really do the Facebook thing anymore, because I found like I'm more of a visual person, so I like to not self-promote, just show my art on Instagram.
Yeah.
So Instagram is sort of the go-to place for new projects, and especially the new videos that are coming out. We're gonna be promoting them on Instagram. So.
Oh yeah. So let's have a look on Instagram. So. Definitely. Yeah. Thank you again. It's amazing. Let's say that the border will open and every puppeteer could travel and see what each other do.
Yeah. Some of my great friends are builders and performers in Canada, so I need to go pay them a visit as well.
Yeah. So cool. So I say goodbye and stay in the virtual studio. And
okay, bye. I will. Thanks for having me. Hopefully I'll do it again.
Yes. Yeah. I will do this right here. Hey, so thank you everyone for watching again. And yeah, stay tuned for other episodes. We have this workshop coming really soon. It's this Sunday. So if you want to know more about like how we handle this funny moment, this pandemic time, how Mr. Leo gets into action, it will be really interesting to see that. So it's on Sunday at 1. Look at the Patreon below. And yeah, we have plenty of episodes coming next week. Pretty great puppeteer. So stay tuned for another episode. So have a good evening, however, where you are.